This video is on Matthew McConaughey's hair. All right. I had to do it. So did Matthew McConaughey have a hair transplant? You're gonna find out. I really loved him in Interstellar, by the way. He was really good. He's been amazing in many movies. Phenomenal actor, seems like a great guy, but I had to talk about his hair. It's been the buzz for many years, and there's a lot of inconsistencies out there about, did he have a hair transplant? Was it something else? So I wanted to talk about that. And some of the videos, when you search for Matthew McConaughey's hair transplant, the stuff that comes up, I know a lot of the people who are putting out that content, they're great guys, and I think in this particular situation, I actually disagree with them. So I'm gonna explain to you guys exactly why, so make sure to keep watching. And you know, Matt has denied a hair transplant in the past, which is very standard amongst celebrities, so there's nothing new.
What's the title of the doctor who works on hair? I don't know, whatever that title would be. Yeah. I run into this guy in Beverly Hills, and he goes, over the last 10 years, we always put you on the screen as a great hair transplant example, right? And he goes, for 6 years, nobody ever raised their hand to say it was them. And the last 3 years, there's this doctor from Sweden who takes credit for it. And he goes, and I was like, oh, he's full of BS. He goes, can I look at your scalp? And he looks at it, and he goes, you don't have hair transplants? Yeah. I'm going to bust this man next year at the convention. Yeah.
Good. Gosh, I hate that.
Unbelievable. I bet he got some good work.
But I think the real story is something a little bit different. There's actually a sponsor to this video, which is I think our first sponsor. It's Energy Delivery Solutions. So this is a company that I actually already use their product. So when they approached us with this idea to talk about the things that they do, I thought it'd be a perfect fit for the channel and for our videos. There's more on them a little bit later in this talk, but they do amazing work, and it's the maker of the actual ATP, which is an energy source. And this stuff goes into the graft holding solutions, and that's what we use when we do hair transplants. So more on that later. In 1996, at the age of 27, you can see here that his hairline is definitely higher compared to like 10 years earlier, right? So a decade has passed and the hairline has definitely moved up, but overall the face is very well framed by his existing hair, and he looks like a guy with great hair. 97, looks unchanged, beautiful hair, the way we know Matt. 98, you're starting to see that the frontotemporal area does appear a bit more recessed, so this area in here is starting to get a bit more recessed. Now in 1999, at the age of 30, he has this continued frontotemporal recession and a preserved forelock. So he's somewhere here between Norwood 2 and a Norwood 3. As you guys might know, when it comes to clinical medicine, I don't find the Norwood scale to be useful, to be honest with you. I do like it for research purposes and for this type of communication sometimes. And people just ask me, oh, what am I? What kind of Norwood is this? But for clinical medicine, it doesn't really prove to be terribly useful. And make sure, please, that you subscribe to our channel if you aren't already. Many of you watch but are not subscribed. That's a great way to find out about our videos as they come out, and turn on that notification. You know, around this time is when he said he started on Regenix, which is a type of hair product, and he talks about it in that clip from the Kelly show.
I was losing my hair in 99.
No. What do you mean?
Yes, I was. I started rubbing my head with this stuff called Regenix, and damn if I didn't bring it back.
And this is what he's saying caused this incredible increase in hair, and that he stayed on it. Do I believe him? No. I looked into this company, Regenix, and they don't actually talk about any of the ingredients that are inside their products, which I think is a bit ridiculous. And there's no studies, there's no actual data to support any of their claims. Not my favorite way of getting information out to people. My approach is a bit different, a little bit more scientific. I think around this time he may have also potentially started on minoxidil and Propecia, but you know, we'll never know. That is a more proven medical therapy way of improving your hair. Year 2000 seems to have a similar degree of recession to the previous years. 2001, he's combing the hair down, so it makes it a little bit harder to tell what's actually going on. But could he at this stage be covering up maybe a hair transplant around this time? You know, we'll see. 2002, at age 33, the hairline is starting to look a lot fuller. The temples have improved, and really keep an eye on the temples for me, because this, I think, is what gives away some of the work that I think he's had done. So I think that somewhere between 2000 and 2002 is when Matthew McConaughey likely had his first hair transplant. And especially if you look at the left temple, to me, it's a big change from what came before it, right? So, and we'll see that as things play out over the years. So possibly an FUT procedure, because this was 2002. FUE wasn't really mainstream at that time. It was very, very, very new. So I think he had his first procedure around this time, maybe about 1,000 to 1,400 grafts to that kind of hairline area and the temples as well. And again, beautifully done work. Now, let's discuss a little bit about our sponsor. This is ATP. Make sure you don't click off, because ATP is a wonderful product, and it's something that I use in my practice, and I've been using it before they said that they were going to sponsor me. So let me explain more about this. It's from Energy Delivery Solutions, and make sure also to read more about it. We're going to post some links in the description below, and ask your hair surgeon about it if you don't know what it is or if it's right for you. So ATP is primarily energy, and this solution is an energy carrier for all of our cells, right? So the scientists at Energy Delivery Solutions figured out a way to store and deliver this energy into hair grafts. With the ATP, the hair graft survival and the growth rate is better based on actual data, as seen in several studies. And again, we've linked that below. And it's used as part of a holding solution during the procedure. What that means is that when the hair grafts come out of the body, of the scalp, let's say, or anywhere else we're extracting the grafts, we then have to put them into a solution before we're able to then put them back into the scalp. So that solution is very important. Some people use regular saline. I use Plasmolite plus this ATP solution. So there are different options out there. But a lot of people these days in the hair transplant world are adding ATP because, again, it's more energy for the grafts, and that's been scientifically proven. Also, there's a post-operative spray. So just like we do in my practice, we give people that same spray of the Plasmolite and ATP. There's also a separate ATP specialized spray that some patients get and can spray their grafts afterwards to keep them well hydrated. And it's also been shown to reduce the risk of shock loss that's been related to hair transplant. So that's another benefit. And in 2019, there was a comprehensive study of various holding solutions. What they showed was that chilled ATP plus saline was the most promising condition for hair survival compared to several of the other popular options that they had in their study. They didn't test the Plasmolite option, but several of the other ones, when you added ATP, it really helped. And like I said, I use this ATP solution from Energy Delivery Solutions for most of my hair transplant surgeries, especially the ones that are going to take more than like 6 hours to perform. So for the surgeons out there, if you don't use this product already, definitely reach out to Energy Delivery Solutions and find out more about obtaining ATP. And for hair transplant patients, make sure you at least talk to your surgeon about the possibility of using it. It definitely adds an additional cost to the procedure, but I think it's worth it. Let's move on. 2003, Matthew McConaughey is enjoying what I think are the results of his first hair transplant. He's been able to hide the right corner fairly well just by his hairstyling and the way that his hairs are naturally falling at the hairline to the right side. And not too much changes now from 2003 on for a number of years. So 2004, you can see here, things look fairly stable. 2005 as well. 2006, 2007, about stable. And in 2008, it appears that some of the work prior has focused more maybe on the left side than on the right side of his hairline and temples. And that shorter hairstyle allows us to see that. In 2009, the recessions that he has still remaining are covered well by his hairstyles. 2010 doesn't look too different. 2011, stable. 2012, stable. 13, not much change. Now, 2014, we're seeing another change occurring with increased hairline density. So I think that maybe within a year or so of this picture, he's possibly had another FUT procedure of say about 1,000 grafts to just bolster up that hairline. I think that's helped him. 2015, I mean, look at the fullness now at the hairline. It's very impressive. I don't think he got there with just Regenex, and I don't think he got there with just minoxidil and Propecia. And to me, it looks way too natural for this to be a hair system. Now, this is interesting. 2015, we have the these pictures of Matt with a shorter haircut, and you can see from the side and from the back, if you look closely, there's an area where sometimes people go for a strip procedure and it looks a bit thinned out there. So I'm thinking that potentially these transplant procedures that I've been talking about, this might be evidence of them. You're not seeing those FUE little tiny dots, right? Because, well, first of all, it's kind of zoomed out, so it's hard to tell, but also the time frame that when he had these procedures, I think, was such that it was most likely FUT. Even the procedure in 2013, 2014 was likely still utilizing that previous scar that he had and basically going back into it and getting grafts out around that scar. So I think that there's some evidence. No one's really talked about this as far as I could tell online, but what I'm seeing here could be evidence of that FUT scar. 2016, there's nice stability after those two procedures. 2017, stable again. 2018, this again is when it gets interesting. Possibly Matt's had another touch-up procedure to the frontal scalp, to the hairline and the temples. Maybe another FUT procedure using that same scar, or maybe now in a different location, or maybe he switched over to an FUE type of method of maybe another 1,000 to 1,200 grafts. I think he's had a number of these smaller procedures that have also made it less easy to pick up on, right? Compared to someone who, comes out after a year and now their hairline is down here and they've had over 3,000 grafts in one session. I think what Matthew McConaughey's story brings out is that it's nice to do repeated sessions over time of smaller procedures, especially for the right candidate, where you make it almost difficult to discern. Did he have surgery? Did he not? So I think it was really well done, and this is a good argument for that type of approach, as opposed to what a lot of my patients ask for is, can I just do this once? I just want to do one surgery. That's all I want to do. I don't want to do any more in the future. It's not always the best approach, and I think Matthew McConaughey's story highlights why. And I think one of the biggest giveaways, like looking at a set of pictures from 2018, is that left temple. Take a look at that left temple. I mean, it's a huge difference from where he was back when he was 30, and even compared to a few years prior to this picture. And I think that to me is one of the biggest giveaways. 2019, also seeing some good stability. 2020, not seeing too much change. And then 2021, our current year, again, I think everything is looking very good, but it's definitely a huge departure of where he was when he was 30. So I think there are signs of not just one transplant, but several hair transplants. So now looking at him here accepting his Oscar, I think while a hair system is possible, I think it's highly unlikely. We're never seeing actual signs of it. If you look at, as a comparison, John Travolta and his hairline, we have many photos that bring out, this proof of a hair system, and we have a picture of it here. And while also maybe Matthew McConaughey went down the road of concealers and other ways of camouflaging, decreased density, I think that also we would be able to pick up on over the course of many years, many different pictures, and it just doesn't seem like that's his primary modality. So I think his hair just looks too good. It looks too natural for it not to have been a hair transplant, and several hair transplants that were done very tastefully and very well, right? So again, look at this comparison, 2001 to 2021. 20 years have passed. His hair looks much better now than it did 20 years ago. Look at that left temple. I mean, if this doesn't give it away, I'm not sure what does. And I think most hair systems don't even address the temples as much as what we can do when we do a transplant. And I really struggled with this because I didn't necessarily want to depart so far from what some of my colleagues have said about what's happened to him and his hair, but I really do think that great hair that we're seeing is the result of a hair transplant and multiple hair transplants. So as the saying goes, if something looks too good to be true, it most likely is. So let's summarize the hair transplant procedures that Matthew McConaughey may have had. Hair transplant number 1, around 2001 to 2002, 1,200 grafts FUT. Hair transplant number 2, around 2014, about 1,000 grafts, also FUT. Hair transplant number 3, 2018, probably had another 1,000 to 1,200 grafts. This one may have been FUE because 2018 a lot of people are doing FUE, and we haven't seen too short of a haircut, as far as I know, in the public after that year to really assess, was FUE done or was it another strip procedure. So these smaller strip procedures were fairly common, again, during his first few surgeries, and it's fairly common to also do a subsequent strip procedure after one was done prior, utilizing that original scar. Sometimes we go to a different location, but oftentimes you can incorporate the original scar. And given the length of his hair, the way he usually wears it, it's pretty easy to cover up these types of scars on the back of your head. Let me know in the comments below if you guys think that I'm right about Matthew McConaughey's hair transplants, or if you think instead that it's been mainly these hair systems or maybe natural remedies like the Regenix that he talks about. And also, please make sure to check out the ATP solution from Energy Delivery Solutions. They make wonderful products, and it's something I already have been using in my practice for a number of years, and I think they lead to great results. But if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to check out my other analysis on Elon Musk and his hair transplants, and so click on that card and I will see you there.